Awesome. Well, what's up, everybody? It's 12 o'clock on, what is today, Wednesday, before Jocelyn takes off and heads over to the East Coast for a little R&R. Um, yeah, Jocelyn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. A little sleepy from the drive back last night after the award ceremony. Congrats to you on everything that's going on up in Madison.
Thank you, and right back to you.
Well, thanks. Yep. What was the award again? Best startup in the area, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Startup business. Awesome. It's a testament to all of our trainers. But anyway, I won't keep you. I'm a rambler. Again, this is Joselyn Kirstein. I'm not going to say what she just told me a second ago of how to pronounce it. And yeah, I know, Jocelyn, you were on with us, several months back doing one of these. I know about you. If you will, briefly, just kind of give just a quick overview of kind of your background in fitness and then how you got into it, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, I'm Joselyn Kirstein. I'm 43 now. I was always very active as a kid, played sports. My parents kept me and my twin sister very active, sports-wise, kept us busy, and that kind of fell over to me in college as well. I had to pick a degree, and I went with something that I would not end up with a desk job because I feel like I'm too active to sit down. So I decided to go into exercise physiology, and I didn't quite know what I wanted to use it for, but I knew it would be a good field for me since I was involved in it, and I enjoyed learning what the body could do and how to exercise properly. So after my husband got out of the military, we settled down in Madison, and I was able to get certified as a personal trainer and start using my degree.
Well, boom, here we go. All right, so as we were saying, I want you to own that you're the professional. A little shout out to Jamie there on that one.
Yes.
But so I know this is a topic that even since we've posted it, you've had several comments of probably men and women, but probably more ladies who have been more curious about the way to really approach life, health, and fitness as far as like being fit after 40. And right, so this is something that I know you're passionate about. Clearly it can be done because you look the part, you live the part, and you're trying to go ahead and wipe out all those excuses for people and give them some direction today. I can lead right in to the questions, but is there anything kind of on the front end that you want to kind of say about it before we jump into the questions?
Yeah, I do. I actually want to let everybody know that it is possible. It's very possible. I don't have time. I have kids. Whatever excuse you can find, there is a way around it. You can do it. Those excuses don't work. It's possible after 40. And people love telling you how bad your life is going to get once you hit 40 and you keep going. But I'm here to tell you it can be done, number one. Number two, life is not bad after 40. It's actually pretty good. So I've got some good news to share too.
That's awesome. So 40 is the new 20 or new 30? What should we say?
Yes, 40 is the new 20.
There we go. We'll just go ahead and jump a decade. Awesome. Okay, so let's jump into it as far as get your brain going. So all right, so okay, so what are some of the differences you've noticed in your fitness since you've hit your 40s and after?
Okay, well, I'll always go back to what my dad told me growing up. He was diabetic. He was type 1. So his diet revolved, he had to be very careful with his diet for his diabetes and insulin. And he would watch what I would eat, and he'd be like, you just wait. When you hit 40, you're not going to be able to eat like that.
Yeah.
You're just not going to be able to do it. And I've heard that my whole life, and I knew it was going to happen at some point. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. But it did happen. It's very sneaky the way it comes on. You don't just gain 10 pounds and realize, ooh, I've gained 10 pounds. You're still doing the same exercises. You feel like you're eating the same, but it does kind of start to creep on, and you don't notice until one day you're like, oh, my clothes don't fit. Mm-hmm. So that was the biggest thing I noticed, how sneaky it was coming on to 40 and right around the midsection. If I can be honest with all the women out there who've had children, your body changes after you have children, regardless. But once you get those hormones with early menopause, it will happen. It's going to happen at some point. but we can fight it. So that was the first thing I noticed, the midsection. Not being able to see your abs right away when you work really hard for them. That was the first thing I noticed. And the second thing I noticed that my concerns changed. It wasn't about oh, I can do more push-ups than you, or I can lift 60 pounds. My concerns kind of went more towards my health markers, my numbers, my cholesterol, my blood pressure, my resting heart rate. What were my numbers now, and what were they in the past? I wanted to make sure we were on the same level. And the concerns about being able to wear the cute dress, I mean, of course, I still have those. I want to look nice and I want to look like a trainer. But my concerns have shifted to being more functional in my daily life than trying to show off at the gym or about how much weight I can lift. As long as I'm able to carry on my daily activities and do them without getting tired, and, you know, I can keep that up as I get older, that's my main goal now at 40. So that's my issues now at 40. So and one other thing, I didn't start lifting weights until I was in my 30s. So I was kind of, especially being in the major I was in college, I was kind of a late bloomer with the strength training. And in my 30s, I had really bad knee pain, and I started strength training and really building those quad muscles up, and now my knee pain is gone. So my strength training and my exercise went to what I needed to fix instead of trying to look a certain way. It was to heal any past injuries I had or to keep from being injured. So
those are awesome. Yeah, no, you answered. Okay, so you kind of covered really what I was going to lead into much better than I could even imagine was, you know, how do you change your thought process? How do you switch that versus trying to go back and compare yourself to where you were, you know, in your early 30s? When you switch it to what you're talking about, the numbers, the functionality, the correcting yourself for quality of life, by doing that, I mean, clearly you're going to get, and if you're consistent with it, you're going to get the results you're looking for. But versus stressing out over trying to get back or get to that in a matter of couple of months, just making the lifestyle change makes perfect sense to me. I'm leading into that. Yeah.
You kind of have to let go of your ego a little bit. I mean, you really do. What you were in your 20s, if you're lucky enough to still have that in your 40s, awesome. I'm more fit now in my 40s than I was in my 20s, so I'm kind of the opposite. So that's why I love my 40s. I am stronger, healthier version of myself now than I was in my 30s or 20s. But your thought process does change, and I'm at the point now in my life where I'm not saying I'm going to have grandchildren soon, but it's down the road, and I want to be that grandma that goes to Disney World and can ride all the rides, walk the whole park, you know, take care of my grandkids without, you know, needing help. So that's where I'm thinking right now.
That makes perfect sense. And again, a lot of people that we work with, that's we train for functionality, we train for quality of life. That's the stories that we get, and that's when we kind of hit our goals. I feel like when I'm the most proud of the people I work with, of when they come back and be like, hey, I was able to do this with my kids, my grandkids. I hadn't been able to do this for years. I was able to spend more time with them. Yeah, and I think too, by having that mental switch kind of protects you, because a lot of people, since it's getting close to, you know, January again, a lot of people might be inspired to try and go ahead and hit the ground running, but have that aesthetics in their mind versus the functionality and quality of life. And so if you're trying to hurry up and get the look you're looking, you know, the physical look you're looking for, the aesthetics part, it can be discouraging if you don't hurry up and get there, where the other stuff, it takes a little while to start building your strength up, start correcting your aches and pains, and then the other stuff starts to fall into place if you're consistent with that. That's perfect.
Exactly.
It's so good. Awesome. All right. Let's see what we got here. I know you sent these questions. You may have already answered this in your kind of your previous question, but what are some challenges as far as you feel like getting to your health and fitness back after 40? Any other challenges that we've talked about or thinking about?
Well, I touched on it a little bit, but your basal metabolic rate, it's 50 60 to 70% of your total energy expenditure, it decreases with age. So what you could used to eat 3/4 pounders with cheese and it would never show up. Now you try to do that in your 40s, I guarantee you it's going to show up. Your metabolism slows down. I mean, it's just, the way it is. So that is one thing. If your diet is not on point, and I don't mean diet by restriction, I mean your nutrition, what you're eating every day. If that's not on point, your 40s is a really good time to get that evaluated and to figure it out now.
Yeah.
I'll just give myself as an example. I'd be working out in the gym, working out at home, and all of a sudden I wasn't noticing any of my gains like I normally did. And I had to sit back and think, why am I killing myself? Why am I working out so hard? I'm not seeing it. Well, probably because I'm going home and eating Doritos and Oreos. So your exercise is just one part. You have to have a healthy diet to go along with it. So I learned how to cut out processed food. My grocery cart really consists of vegetables and meat, lean meats, and fruits, opposed to a ton of boxes. I was the queen of buying boxes because I have 3 kids, so snacks come in boxes. I was a big snack eater, and I learned how not to do that, and it took a year, and it took a whole year for my family to get on board that we're doing much better. And to be honest, you do not have to kill yourself working out. If you're eating nutritiously, you're going to see those results that much faster with your work that you're doing. So,
I think my response to that too is, even when people are still trying to drop the weight or change their looks or whatever, even when they pertain to food, they're still thinking about calories. And yeah, it's good to know what the calories are and at least be aware of it. But by putting the natural foods in yourself, eating cleaner, eating healthier, it usually starts to fall in line. I mean, plus, and then eating with a purpose, I think, is just as important, if not more important, than like just trying to eat according to like calorie, goals or restriction. Because if you look at food as like an energy source, you start realizing the things that bog you down or make you feel, sluggish, and then you start eating cleaner and you realize how more efficient you are, and that makes your metabolism, and you're going to burn better, cleaner, more calories. And some people equate it almost to like fuel that you put in the car. It's like the higher end fuel is cleaner fuel, so you get more, out of your vehicle or whatever. And the lower end, which is usually what I spend money on anyway, is a little more sluggish. But anyway, I just think of it in that manner, like you say, it's like the nutrition part. You don't have to always get bogged down on the calorie restrictions and where to go and what to do. If you start eating cleaner, you'll start to feel the difference, and it's kind of.
And you'll see the difference. It'll show up. You have to eat intentionally towards your goal. You can't just randomly eat. I mean, you need to plan out your meals, cut out the processed food if you can. And I'm from the back in the day where you were told to clean your plate. I don't know if you were or not. But down in the South, you were told to clean your plate. It was almost disrespectful if you did not finish all the food you were provided. Right. But that is not the best when you're at 40. You need to kind of ditch that old thinking and eat intentionally towards your goal, and re-examine your portion controls. They might be completely out of whack if you've never took the time to think about it. So these are the things you kind of start to think about when you're 40. So that's definitely one of them. And cook at home. Definitely, we cook more at home than going out to eat, because for me, it's almost impossible to order something healthy at a restaurant when I see cheeseburgers walk by. So that's definitely something you can do at home. And one thing, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle, because you're not going to reach your goal by just doing this 2 times out of the week. You've got to make it a lifestyle change, and that's when you're really going to see the goals. So. Right.
And the lifestyle changes, I mean, that's what they are. They don't happen overnight. A lot of people get discouraged because they're thinking of, how am I going to overhaul my whole life? I've done this for so many years or whatever. my initial response, and I think we all have different kind of approaches. I usually say like spend at least 2 weeks if you can, consistent weeks, like logging everything. You don't, even
Yeah,
if you don't necessarily want to make the, even if you're not in the position to go ahead and make the changes, by you writing down what you've eaten, you're becoming aware of what you're putting in your body, which then starts to change your thought process to be intentional about the change. Some people try and
exactly.
jump, some people try and jump into it, and then they're stressing out and they're trying to find 100 different blogs that's telling them 100 different things on what to eat and where to go. But you have to start with awareness, and that was our first quarter goal across the board for the business. Anyway, this year was awareness to to really take the time to see where you're at, assess yourself, and a lot of us have the foundational knowledge. A lot of us have the foundational knowledge to make those changes. But it becomes the behavioral change that's the hardest part. So anyway,
Exactly.
that's my impact on that. Good deal. Let's see. I think I have this pulled up already. So, all right. So I think this is key because a lot of people now that are watching this and they're watching it later, or they're probably starting to really take it to heart what you're saying. And some people may get a little bit of anxiety out of it. So, what does somebody need to know about getting started? Because that's the hardest part for anybody.
It is. It is the hardest part. But if you're thinking about it, that means you're obviously want to go in that direction. So, and this might sound very like clinical, but for me, if I've been sedentary my whole life and I just at 40 decide to start an exercise program, I would honestly see my physician first. And the only reason I say that is because in my 30s is when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that I was unaware that I had. I just knew I got sick very often. And I'd also broken my foot. I've had my gallbladder removed. I had a lot of issues in my 30s. And I was training for a half Ironman. And I
Hmm.
honestly did not know if my body was capable of all the training that I had planned, that I knew I was going to do. So, and I'm usually the first one to just do something quick, but I went about it the right way. I went and saw my physician. She did all my
Hmm.
numbers. She retested the foot that has the screw in it to make sure, yes, you can do all this training. And I got cleared to train. And I think it's a great way to get started is to talk to your doctor, find out your health markers, your blood pressure, cholesterol, all that. And it's a good gauge because when down the road you will see those numbers change, and it's a good way to gauge your progress. But once you get cleared by the physician, I would start slow. Rome
Hmm.
wasn't built in a day. It's just like you said, baby steps, because it took you a long time to get the way you are now, and you're not going to change it in one day. And like you said, you'll have anxiety thinking it needs to be changed in one day.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a process, and if you trust the process, it will happen. But you just
Hmm.
have to walk in it knowing that it is a process. It's going to take time. Start slow. So if your goal is to run a 5K, you're not going to just start running. You're going to start walking first. And then you'll progress to a jog. Then you'll progress to a walk jog. And then you'll progress to a run. So you need to set small, attainable goals. That way you'll get to your goal at the end, because if you go out too hard and too quick, that is when you have risk of injury. And I don't care what anyone says. I noticed my balance being challenged at 40 more than I ever noticed in my life. And the risk of injury for me was higher. I'm clumsy anyway, but it went way up once I hit 40. And you can ask my clients. I trip over stuff like all the time. I have big feet. But an example of this, I have an example. My husband, we were driving to Georgia, and he is kind of a weekend warrior. He'll work out in spurts, and then he won't do anything. And he has a desk job, so he's not getting activity at work. So we were driving to Georgia. He saw a beautiful like piece of land. He just hopped out of the car and started jumping over logs. Well, the two teenage boys that we have, they're running through the forest, right? What does he do? He pulls his calf muscle and his hamstring. So I have the broken foot and I'm on crutches. We have to take him to the emergency room, and then he's on crutches. So my piece of advice is to start slow, do a really good warm up, because as you get older, you're just more prone to injury, and that's just the way it is. So
Yeah.
you're not 20 anymore. So that was a really good life lesson for my husband to just realize, hey, you got to warm up, you got to start slow, and you got to be consistent. That's the number one. Consistency is key. So
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. And then I think too, I think a lot of people, when they're talking about the baby steps, they think just about the physical. And I always think about the behavioral change that happen, or the mental, I guess, insight that you start to have switch. So like when you get through the barrier of, trying to do the walking or do the build up process, your brain actually starts to change. Like your confidence starts to go up, or what some of us call self-efficacy, your belief in that you can achieve it or do it. And then even aesthetic, like looking at yourself, and there's a lot of research that does this, even looking at body image, even if you may not have had like major change or whatnot as of yet, because you're in the beginning stage, you'll start to perceive yourself as looking better. And a lot of it's because you're becoming more vibrant. Like your happiness meter is kind of starting to go up, and then that's the ripple effect. That's when sustainable change happens. So I like to point that out too, because making yourself do it is, for a lot of people is the biggest struggle. But as you do it, that starts to change. It becomes easier and easier. And you had a client today that said what?
yes, that's what I was gonna say. He said when I first met him, he says, "I'm gonna do what you tell me, but I'm never gonna like to exercise. I've never liked it in the past, and I'm never gonna like it." Well, today he came up to me and said, "I actually like to exercise now, and I'm doing it on my own when you're not here."
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he told me in the beginning he wasn't gonna like it, but now he actually looks forward to it. So that's a huge change, and it's all starts up here. It all starts up here.
Right. And you hadn't even been with him for a year yet, have you? Or close
No,
to it,
not
maybe?
not a year. Close to it. Close to it. Yep.
Consistency. Uh, I mean, just a few days a week in less than a year, his complete mental change, and obviously all the physical changes that he's improved on. But it doesn't
And their
take as
whole
long.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, their whole family has changed, and everybody in the family's noticing each other's changes. So I mean, it's great to see. So
That's a big deal, because especially we see ourselves, which is the hardest person to see the change first. Other people start telling you, hey, I'm starting to notice a difference. But then when
yes,
your family sees you just as much as yourself, and so then now that they're all seeing each other, that's funny to see that. But that's what I'm saying. So we're sitting here saying that it's been less than a year and this full behavior change has taken place, and that doesn't seem like much. So I guess for those that are wanting to get started, that should be an encouragement to you that
yes,
sometimes it takes longer than that, sometimes it takes less than that, but
exactly.
you won't know until you get started.
And that's what I wanted to say. I think people give up. They don't give themselves enough credit. They
Right.
cut themselves off. They had a couple of hard sessions, or they literally give up on themselves. They let their brain tell them they can't do it. And if they just stay with it, stay consistent, and trust the trainer, because I mean, we can pull it out of you. You may not
Yeah.
be able to pull it out of yourself, but we can pull it out of you, and you will eventually trust the process, and you'll see it for yourself. But you just have to give yourself the chance. You owe
Right.
your health. You owe yourself the chance to see what you can do. So
And I would say for those of you out there that are very strong willed and very driven, that still doesn't necessarily mean you're going to give yourself the credit you need. We were talking about that full focus planner that I gave you last night, and we went to that conference. And in the section of the planner at the end of your week, as far as like your goals that you've tried to achieve or you've wanted to achieve, it says 0, 25%, 75%, and like 100%, or no, 25, 50, 75, and 100. The reason being is because we tend to do all or nothing as far as giving ourselves credit. If our goal was to walk 4 miles this week, we've walked 3. That's 75%. I mean, you can't give yourself partial credit's better than no credit at all, so it's okay.
exactly. I always tell my clients, I'm like, you did awesome. And they're like, well, that was hard. And I'm like, but you did it. I'm like, I want to hear you say something positive about what you just did. And I kind of do
Right.
kind of urge them to say something positive about what they just did, because you have to celebrate those little wins. Because in the end, it's going to be a huge win.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, we got about 5 more minutes, but we can roll over just a little bit if we need to. All right, so what does the training plan look like or include for a 40 and up population?
All right, and I'll just go by me. So, since I'm the professional at 40,
You are
the
the professional.
40, the 40 professional, we all know we lose muscle mass as we get older, especially for women, osteoporosis, bone density. So, strength training is vital. If I always tell women this, especially if you haven't picked up a weight, you need to learn how to use them because now is the time.
Right.
So, anything that includes proper weight training. And I always say, if you don't know how to lift weights, hire someone that can show you proper form because at any arena, the way to get hurt is strength training if you're just watching someone and that person you're watching may not know what they're doing. So you really want to take the time to learn proper form and proper technique. And that's just not trainer talk. That goes for the whole spectrum. You want to learn the right way because the risk of hurting yourself, like I said, is higher in the 40s. So you want to start off with a good base. Um, and you want to do functional training, anything that's going to help you with your everyday job. I can carry about 8 grocery bags in each hand. So I'd say my bicep curls and my strength training is helping me be the mom that I need to be and carry all those groceries in. Because God
Yeah.
forbid you have to go to the car to get the second load. I want to get them all at once. And I will tell you this for my training schedule. Um, I have to go opposite days with intensity. One day I can do a hit training. Well, the next day I need to make sure it's non-impact because
Mhm.
at my age I'm not going to sit there and do hit training or insanity max with a lot of plyometrics. I'm not going to do that every day because my joints cannot handle it.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I put some rest days in there, recovery days, because
Mm.
I've noticed I actually use them now in my 40s. I used to hate recovery days, but now I truly look forward to them. And just switch up your routine. You don't want to do the same thing every day. You want to make sure it includes recovery days, light days, medium days. And for me, balance, as I get older, my balance is starting to go a little bit.
Mhm.
So yoga, a lot of yoga for me for balance. That's been key for me. So that's it.
No, I think that's clutch. I think that hopefully people can understand that, you know, well, for one, you don't have to do it all for full bore every single day to see the changes. I mean, we
Exactly.
actually did a Muscle Mind podcast recently, and I think it just released, but it was comparing like high intensity interval training to like low intensity steady state
I
and how
love
they
that.
affect the body. And that actually kind of applies to somewhat to what you're saying is you can still get, you look at the course of a week, you can have your high intensity days, have your no impact, like low intensity days, have your rest days. As long as you're consistent around that and not having more rest days or more low intensity days than the others, but having a
Exactly.
balance, you're going to get the changes that you're looking for. I think that's key. I mean, it's so key, and that's good. I mean, it's great advice, obviously. All right. Anything else on top of that?
No.
Okay. Well, a plug for us, I would say, if you're somebody that's disciplined and that, out there that's listening that is disciplined but really wants like a program, like we can do programming for people as well. Like we can design a workout program for you and do some coaching on that avenue. Just throw that out there. So people will think that we're just have to come into the house, but I mean, we're a bunch of nerds. I mean, we love to design these things for you. So just extending that, but homefitconsulting.com. Anyway, all right. So let's see. We're getting close to end, and I think this is going to be fun. It's a fun question for me. So, what's the best part of being 40 and up, and then anything you're looking forward to?
All right. I love being 40. I was actually excited on my 40th birthday, and I'll tell you why. Because my 20s were good. 30s, I had a lot of health problems, and I was busy raising kids. So my whole life was about everybody else, and I'll be honest with that. And as a mother, that's what you do. You take care of everybody else. But at 40, my kids are more self sufficient now, and now it's about me. I'll be honest with
Mm-hmm.
you, and I don't care if that sounds selfish or not, but my health is important because I keep this family running.
Yeah.
So I have more time to dedicate to me, which You know, I love that about being 40. I get to work in a job I love. Thank you, HomeFit. I get to exercise. I get to have more me time. So if you had your kids young like me and you're in your 40s and your kids are slowly going off to college and not needing you, now's the time to focus on you.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's good. Take time for yourself. Your health is everything. If you don't have it, you know, your quality of life is going to go down. So take time for you.
Yeah. I think that's key. I've done a lot of help with different research programs and stuff on overcoming barriers to exercise, things that getting in all different demographics, and especially for women. What was one of the biggest influencers for so many people that were moms is that thought process of, like you're talking about, in the fact that if you don't take care of yourself, who's going to take care of the rest of your family? And you're going to be more productive. And then, like you say,
Exactly.
doing that in turn, you're actually establishing your me time. You're taking care of yourself. It's not just a selfish thing. I mean, it's anything. You can look at it almost being selfless, because the better you are to yourself, the better you are to everybody else around you.
And you're setting a healthy example for your children that you're taking the time for yourself and you're teaching them that that's okay. And when your daughter becomes a mother, you'll know, hey, this is not selfish. My mom took the time and she was an awesome mom. So you're setting a really good example for your kids too.
Right. Awesome. So, what are you looking forward to then?
Getting better with age, like wine. I mean, that's I can't wait to be the 50-year-old who is still running 5Ks, the 60-year-old who's doing triathlons. I I want to compete in the senior Olympics. I mean, I want to keep going. I don't think my story ends here. I think I'm going to get better and stronger, and I hope to inspire other people.
You're just getting cranked up, and
I'm
it's
just getting started.
yeah. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, that should be a huge encouragement for people across the board. I mean, it's
I
just,
hope so.
and no matter if they're sedentary or if they're somewhat active or whatnot. I mean, like you said, there's so much room for improvement, and it takes time, and it's a journey. It don't have to be an end result. It's like sometimes people don't even stop and think. I'll ask them, like they'll say, let's say if your goal is to lose 20 pounds, if you don't have a bigger picture than that in your mind, as far as like to add to your reasonings and your why of changing, you hit that 20-pound mark, and then you're going, now what?
Yeah, exactly. What now? So
Yeah. But if you have that lifestyle impact that you're trying to do, it's awesome. Jocelyn, this is amazing. We're going to push
good.
this like crazy. I think it's going to impact a lot of people.
I
Um,
hope so.
it covers, like you said, it's 40s can be, it can truly be your prime of your life, and you're
I
evidence.
that's what I'm hoping. That's how I feel. So I hope
Right.
other 40-year-olds feel that way too. So
Yeah, you're a testament to it for sure. So, anybody that's looking, like in the Madison, Alabama area, or even online, we're doing virtual training. Like we're about to start calling it HomeFit Live. If you want to work with Jocelyn, she makes an impact with everybody she cross paths with. So, just want to shout out to you.
thank you, thank you.
You're so welcome. All right, anything else you want to add, take away, or do you think that's
No,
the meat?
thank you. That's it. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to people and tell them that 40s are awesome.
Yeah. Well, that makes me looking forward to it. I'm 33 now, so I got a few more years. So I need to get on it. I'm
Get
just
on
getting
this.
started. All right. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the day. Hope everybody else has a good rest of your day. And hopefully this has inspired a few people. Make sure you go, if you want to, go to the comments, ask us any questions, give us some feedback in the post. And then I guess we'll see you next time.
Bye.
All right. See you later.